It's such a pleasure to welcome you to Meridian and to our 5th annual Cultural Diplomacy celebration, Culturefix. And whether this is your first time or you've been part of the Culturefix journey from the beginning, we're all here because of our shared belief in something powerful, that arts, sports, and culture are more than just creative expressions. They're catalysts for connection, change, and are helping to shape our global future. Since 1960, Meridian has been at the center of American diplomacy, welcoming hundreds of thousands of global leaders, including 180 heads of state through our international exchange programs. Fast forward to today, and the world looks very different than it did 65 years ago. Power, influence, and diplomacy are no longer confined to government halls and to embassies. Diplomacy is what happens when people connect. And that's why Meridian is expanding and opening diplomacy beyond traditional government channels. The new diplomats are CEOs, governors, mayors, artists, athletes, musicians. They are critical to sustaining our international partnerships, building trust, and helping to solve today's global challenges. Later tonight, we're thrilled to honor some of these leaders, including contemporary artist Sanford Biggers, playwright and actress Anna DeVere Smith, interior designer Mark Sykes, and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell for their incredible contributions to cultural exchange and diplomacy. And we'll get to hear from some of them this morning through our Culturefix conversations, where we'll explore how arts, design, theater, and sports are driving connection and influence across borders. And that's where you come in. So to start our conversations, please take a moment to take out your phones. I bet some of them are already on your laps, and scan the QR code on the screen or in your program and help us answer the following question. Which of the following cultural forces do you believe most shapes global perceptions of the United States or your country today? There's no right or wrong answer, and the response is anonymous, but it will help kick off our discussion. And while you're doing that, I'd like to recognize some of our partners who have brought today's program to life, starting with our fabulous co-chairs, Ashley Davis, Marlene Malik, and Elizabeth Dugal. Elizabeth also serves as the chair of Meridian's Center for Cultural Diplomacy, and I'm going to put Ashley, Marlene, and Elizabeth on the spot and ask them to please stand so we can recognize them. Through their generous support and work, they have helped make today's program the most successful to date. I'd also like to thank our artistic co-chairs, Luke Frazier and Robert Pullen, and the amazing American Pops Orchestra, our bipartisan congressional co-chairs, Congressman Michael McCall and Congresswoman Sydney Kamlager-Dove, who we'll hear from in just a little bit, our top sponsors, Bank of America, Paul Weiss and the Embassy of Qatar, and our board of trustees, including our chairman, Fred Hochberg, Ambassador Randy Levine, who was the co-chair of our inaugural Culturefix program, along with Megan Byer 5 years ago, Stephanie Robinson, Heather Florence, Lisa Ross, and our amazing Meridian team, including our CEO, Ambassador Stuart Holliday, and the team who has been working on this program for months, TK Harvey, Sylvie Staten, Sienna Gregenti, Maria Canales, and so many more. The full agenda and biographies for today's speaker are available through the QR code on your program book. And before I introduce our next speaker, let's take a look at some of our poll results. See if we can pull those up on the screen. Okay. Are they tabulating? Tabulating. So we got some film, TV, music, see sports, food, cuisine. So all of these, I think what Meridian's really focused on is also expanding the definition of cultural diplomacy. It's not just visual and performing arts, but there's so many other components that really help to shape American soft power. So with that, now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who has been an extraordinary champion for cultural diplomacy and will be welcoming the world to her district in 2028 for the Olympics. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Sydney Kamlager-Dove of California's 37th District. Congresswoman, welcome.
Thank you, Natalie, for that very quick introduction. I love those. And good morning, everyone. I want to thank Meridian for gathering us here today. I was actually very excited about the Menti survey because I've been doing listening sessions in my district, and we've been using that platform. So I want y'all to know you are very hip because the young people are also using Menti as a survey. So it is so comforting to be with people who understand the diplomatic power of arts, culture, and sports, and who value it. And so that's why I am so honored to be this year's Culturefix chair with actually Congressman Mike McCall, who I know is also a supporter of these efforts. So I am Sydney Kamlager-Dove. I'm the Congresswoman for the 37th Congressional District. It is the heart of Los Angeles. I think it is the best district in the state, but also in the country. And I, just being humble. And I also serve as ranking member for the House Foreign Affairs South and Central Asia Subcommittee, which oversees the State Department's Public Diplomacy and Educational and Cultural Affairs Bureau. So if there is one thing that an Angelino understands, it is the power of art, music, film, sports, food, culture, yes. And the power that all of these forces have to heal, to educate, to connect, to empower, to enrich, to transform, to help you forget about some of the things that may be the most challenging in your life, to help you comprehend things that might be disturbing or incomprehensible, to help you find joy and connectivity when you feel like you can't do it on your own. I think they are incredible translators for how we are trying to connect as humans. And I say this because I believe it, but also because I come from a family of artists. My stepfather is a painter, my mother is an actress and a director, my father was a producer, and they raised me to appreciate art as a way of making sense in this world, to acknowledge that we have divides, yes, to not run away from it, but to use different mediums to help us interpret the things that seem so complex to us, or the things that we would want to, on the surface, run away from or not want to defend. And I think they do it in ways that are interesting, that are compelling, that are provocative, and ultimately that are healing. So my view of art as fundamental to the strength of our society, and by extension, our international relationships, is something that I have been determined to bring to my work on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And it does sound strange to be in a committee when you should be talking about traditional forms of diplomacy to want to bring up art and sports. But I tell you, people kind of sit back in their seats as witnesses, they take a deeper breath, and they answer honestly rather than referring to the talking points on the page. And I think that is what you want when you are seeking connection. It is a foreign policy tool that can sound intangible or theoretical. And these days, soft power may have a negative connotation. But what we are talking about is enabling partnerships, finding pathways where it seems like there are none, to continue a conversation. So I do want to say, and I have seen this in my travels, a bouncing ball, a moving ball, is a universal language that every single person can understand. A note you hear at a concert or during a play or in a movie is a universal language that connects to everyone's soul. And those are the things that we should be supporting, because it is when you take down your defenses, you are able to make a deeper connection, even if it's acknowledging that you disagree with something or you want to have dissent. Isn't it much better to have dissent or debate when you actually feel like you're connecting to someone, rather than when you feel like you're just going through something that is rote and performative because you were told to do so? So you ask me, okay, she's just reading this from the page, but I'm going to give you some examples. Last April, I was invited to go to Japan with the State Department for a world peace and security series of discussions. And we met with Minister of Defense, Foreign Minister, big people. And I come from Los Angeles. You're supposed to bring gifts. And I thought very seriously about what I would bring. Something thoughtful, important, relevant. And so I packed my bags full of Dodger gear. And we were in these meetings that were very hard to secure. In fact, I was told that if they did not have a member of Congress, they would not have the meetings. And we were in there, and of course, as you know, you get shuttled from meeting to meeting, and it is very short, the time you are given. And so that all was very true. And when it was time to depart, everyone pulled out their goodies. State Department had their goodies. I had my goodies. And the look on the faces of the Minister of Defense when I pulled out a Shohei Ohtani hat, bobblehead, was priceless. It was priceless. His face lit up. I was celebrating with him a national icon in their country, who we are trying to snatch as our own in Los Angeles, of course. And do you know, that meeting brought about a second meeting the next day so that we could continue a conversation about women, peace, and security and come to some agreements. That is the power of sports diplomacy. It meant something. We think, oh, just a hat, but it is meaningful because it touched something in their hearts. And it was men and women, okay, to look at the parliamentarians ooh and ah and start to cry was really meaningful to us and to the State Department. Took a trip to Colombia, had a series of meetings about trade, about investment, about border security. Those were all very important. And then in the meeting, we switched immediately to talk about the arts, cultural festivals, music festivals. Would we be willing to share some of our artists with them, to have collaboration, and how that was so much more meaningful because the power of our music, the power of our artists was something that was very tangible and real to them, to that region, to that city, to that mayor, to that governor. I'm giving you real examples of the power of sports and arts diplomacy, brought to you by a sitting member of Congress who on the surface it would seem is only supposed to go and talk about trade or MMC or XM Bank or any of those things, right? And not what really fills our soul and connects us as human beings. Because it is much easier to agree to disagree and still find connectivity when you have made this kind of connection than it is to just sit down once again with your bullet points and say, this is what we want from you, this is what you're going to get from us, thank you, goodbye, see you later. So please continue to do what you are doing. We have 13 professional sports teams with foreign players like Shohei Ohtani or Hae-Sung Kim, who draw fans from around the world. The Dodgers is an international sports team right now. We have studios like Netflix and Amazon in my district that bring TV and movies to audiences in dozens of countries, and they are going on trips around the world connecting with other creatives and streamers. There was a delegation that just came back from India, and it was all about creative content. And we have labor unions who are leading the global conversation around empowering creatives as industries harness the transformative potential of AI. And so now, as Natalie mentioned, LA is going to be the epicenter of all of these things, with the World Cup coming in 26 and the Olympics coming in 28. And the eyes of the world will be upon us. And I tell you right now, we will be ready. But it is my mission in Congress to ensure that the federal government provides Los Angeles with the resources and the support needed to meet this moment. So it is why I have chosen to work in a bipartisan fashion with folks across the aisle to talk about the issues that are important. Visas, making sure that the State Department is resourced in a way that is proper and appropriate so that we can streamline the bureaucracies that do need to be in place to ensure that athletes and performers and entrepreneurs and broadcasters can come, and fans can come and celebrate a peace gathering with other fans from around the world who have decided to show up in this country to participate in the Olympics. I sent a letter with my Culturefix co-chair, Rep. McCall, about the need for the State Department to implement a comprehensive sports diplomacy strategy related to the mega decade of sports. And I worked with Congresswoman Young Kim on a letter about the visas. So if people say, is anything getting done in Congress? I don't know what your answer to that will be, but you can certainly say you met a Democrat who was working with Republicans on behalf of this country to bring us together for peace-gathering events that are meaningful both to this country and to the rest of the world. So we do have a lot of work ahead of us. I am sure that is why you are here today, so that you can get your marching orders from Meridian. But I hope that you consider me to be a partner in the work that you are doing to celebrate, elevate, and expand the powers and opportunity of sports and arts diplomacy. So thank you so much for the opportunity.